Hey, so let's get started with funnels. So funnels allow you to build user flow reports in an ordered or unordered way, and they're usually helpful in identifying friction points, which is steps with high drop-offs, and they also show you conversion rates from one step to the next. So, for example, you could create a funnel to track users who sign up, view a product, add to cart, and then complete purchase, right? So let's go ahead and do that in Mixpanel. So let's say sign up, view a product. Um, then we have add to cart. Sorry, it's cart viewed. We don't have an add to cart event, and then purchase completed, right? And okay, great. So we have a funnel that, okay, last 30 days we had around 7,000 users that signed up, out of which 70% viewed a product, out of which 18% viewed their cart, and then out of which 32% ended up purchasing something, right? Now, uh, funnels is slightly complicated in the way it works. There are too many moving parts here, so I'd like to request you to be focused here and not miss some of the important things that I'm going to be talking about. So okay, just like Insights, funnel also has three key parts, which is metric, conversion criteria, measurement, and chart type. So metric is essentially where you uh, choose your events, choose your steps. Conversion criteria is what is the what is the timeline, and like you can define some other conditions. And then measurement and chart type is basically what are you exactly measuring, like are you measuring conversion rates, you're measuring, you can measure quite a few other things. So we'll take a look at all of that. Okay, so we'll start off with metric, right? So metric, again, like I said, this is where you select the events that you want to visualize in the funnel. By default, it's an ordered funnel, meaning that events must occur in the order that they're listed. So if a user, let's say, uh, views their cart before a product is viewed, they would actually not be counted in this funnel. They have to view the cart after a product view. And by the way, it's okay if a user signs up, views cart, views product, views cart again, and then purchase completed, they would be counted in the funnel. But it has to also happen after that. Now, what we see here, so for example, is that these 30% users that did not view a product after signing up completed, they're actually removed from this funnel at this step itself. They will not be proceeding to the next step because it's an ordered funnel, right? um, so if product viewed isn't a necessary step, let's say you're doing some calculation and you have a step that's not necessary, 100% necessary, you probably should remove it for a more accurate funnel. Now, the first thing that we'll talk about is event comparison. So event comparison essentially helps you compare two events side by side in the funnel. So for example, you want to figure out how many users who sign up complete a purchase via express shipping versus standard shipping, right? So let's say we're going to break this down, right? And I'm going to add a filter here of, let's say, shipping method is express shipping, right? And then I'm gonna add a filter here on shipping method is equal to, let's say, standard shipping, right? So you'll see, okay, out of all the users, oh my bad, sorry, I'm gonna choose here event comparison, and I'm gonna choose purchase completed, and I'm gonna choose shipping method is, let's say, next day shipping, for example. So I'm gonna see, okay, out of the 7,000 users, we had 5% of them eventually converted to express shipping, and only 1.5% converted to shipping method. Ideally, you would want to use maybe different events. So this is, event comparisons are usually helpful when you have a path where after a specific step a user could choose two options, either one of the two. And so there you want to look at, okay, what did the users choose, what are the conversion rates to each one of them. That's usually when something like this is a lot more helpful. Okay. One thing that you would want to know is if a user again purchased using both shipping methods, like if they were there in both funnels, they'd ideally be counted in both. Just have that in mind. Okay, we'll move on to conversion criteria. So conversion criteria is basically a way for you to define the rules for your funnel. Okay, and the first part of conversion criteria is the conversion window. So the conversion window specifies how much time does a user have to complete all the steps in the funnel starting from the first step. So for example, if your funnel track sign up completed to purchase completed, you can set a time limit such as 14 days for users to complete the funnel after signing up. So for example, if you look at this, and I'm going to just remove all of this, right? So right now our time conversion criteria is 7 days, right? So I could also do it, let's say within uh, that, okay, within 1 hour of signing up, they have to complete a purchase for them to be counted in the funnel. Or I could be like in the same session that they should not drop off in the same session as when they complete sign up, they need to also complete a purchase. Okay. So what ideally happens here, again, this is usually helpful when you want to sort of keep your funnels time bound, and I think it's a great idea to keep your funnels time bound. Interesting thing to note here is that, let's say right now we're looking at last 30 days, and let's say I'll just make this 7 days, for example. Okay, so someone who signed up yesterday, their 7 days are not over yet, right? So they haven't gotten their entire time window of 7 days, and so that's why this funnel is slightly incomplete, if you'd like to call it. And if you do want to have an extremely accurate funnel, the idea is that you go to custom and then you do last 7 days, ending 7 days ago, so ending, whatever 7 days here, so that only the users that that are counted, that have had that conversion time period as well, are counted in the funnel. And by the way, you could do, let's say, last 30 days that ended 7 days ago. So what then happens is all of the users that signed up would actually have completed the 7-day window for them to be counted in purchase completed or not be counted in purchase completed. Okay. And like you saw, I think for conversion window, you could choose between seconds, minutes, hours, weeks, months, sessions, whatever makes more sense for you. Okay, the next thing is, so like we said, right now this order is an it's an ordered funnel. This funnel is an order, so every user must complete each step of the funnel in the order that it's specified to be counted as completed. You could also change this to, let's say, any order, wherein what any order would do is, so let's say I'm going to add product viewed, cart viewed. Okay, I'm gonna bring this here. Okay, and okay, so now what I'm essentially doing is that I'm saying the first step would be sign up completed, but if a user completes the next 3 steps in any order, right, so they could probably do cart viewed and then product viewed and then purchase completed, they would still be counted in the funnel as completed, right? So that's how any order sort of works. So for example, again, you have this funnel, you select any order, so a user could do those steps in different orders and still be considered as having completed the funnel, right? But let's say if a user only signs up and adds a product but skips the other steps, they would only be counted up to step 2, right? So they view a product, they sign up, they only view a product, they'd only be counted here, they wouldn't actually be counted here. An interesting thing is that you need to know is that in this you could also specify your funnel does not need to be completely any order. You could also specify certain things. For example, I could be like, okay, you know what, the first event has to be sign up completed and the last event has to be purchase completed. So if you tap on this, you could change it, change the way the funnel would work, right? So now what's happening is that, okay, a user could, like, the first step is going to be sign up completed, but for a user to complete the funnel, they have to do product viewed and cart viewed before they do purchase completed. The order of product viewed and cart viewed can be different, right? So they could do cart viewed first and then product viewed, or product viewed first and then cart viewed, but they have to do that before purchase completed to be counted as completed in the funnel, right? Okay, next we'll move on to excluding users. So another thing that you can also do is, let's say just going to change this. Okay, I'm going to change it to any order. Okay, now what you could also do is you could exclude users who did a specific event, right? So for example, I actually want to remove any user that searched a product before they actually viewed a product, right? So I'd be like, okay, not between all the steps. I just want to exclude users that search for a product before signing up and viewing a product. So if any user would have done that, they get excluded. And so you could also exclude it between steps 2 to 3, 3 to 4, or you could be like, okay, in the entire funnel, any user that has searched between sign up complete and purchase completed, just remove them from my funnel. So that's what exclude users helps you do. Okay. Now, the other interesting thing here in funnels is called holding property constant. Okay. So this option basically helps you define a funnel where a specific property remains the same for all events in order to count as a conversion, right? So for example, we're gonna look at a simple funnel of, let's say, product viewed and let's say product added. Okay. Now, for example, what we want to do here is we want to say that, okay, count this funnel as completed when the same product that has been viewed has also been added, right? And so both the events need to have a specific property. So probably, let's say, both of these events have a property called property ID, right? Which is, let's say, let's just say ID. Is there some ID here? Okay, so since this is a demo data set, I don't see any specific ID here, but let's just say, for example, we want let's just say device is our ID for now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, okay, for this to be counted as funnel conversion, the product viewed and product added has to have the same device property. If they do not, it will not be counted as conversion. So in another language, because sometimes this could get complicated, is that if a user views a product, they must add the same product to the cart for it to count as a conversion. So without holding the property constant, when you do not have that property, a user could view one product, and add a separate product, to the funnel or to their cart. But if you add this property, then they do not have that option. Okay. Now, measurement and chart type. Now, this is where you choose how you want to measure your funnel. Okay. So be it in terms of unique users, total sessions, time to convert, etc. Along with choosing the type of chart best suited for the funnel, right? So let's talk about first conversion rate, which is what we've been looking at right now. So conversion rate is your default measurement, which tells you out of how many users that performed the first step, also did the second step, respecting your conversion criteria. Okay. By default, conversion rate is set on a user level, which means the funnel is on a user level, right? The funnel measurement could ideally be on 3 levels. So it could be on unique users, it could be on totals, it could be on sessions, right? So you could have a funnel that's based on a user level, that you could have a funnel that's based on total number of times events are fired, and then there could be a funnel on number of sessions. And each one of them works very differently to each other in how they calculate the values. And this is where funnels actually start getting slightly more complicated. So bear with me. Now, a user only re-enters the funnel once they've exited the funnel. Okay, so a user could only exit the funnel in any of the two following scenarios. One, they've successfully completed the funnel, or they have failed to complete the funnel and the conversion criteria is over, or the conversion time is over, right? So let's say, quick example, we have product view to product added. Let's just take this, right? So let's say I view a product today, and my conversion is, let's just say it's not within I'm gonna do it within 1 hour. Okay, so I view a product right now, and I'm viewing 10 products, and I probably, after viewing 10 products, I add one product to cart, right? So my conversion would be, I would be counted in the funnel. Now once I've added that product, after that if I start viewing another product, that is when my second funnel would start. So my conversion, even though I viewed 10 products and only added one to cart, the conversion here is not going to show me 1 by 10, irrespective of what I choose. So I can choose unique users, I could choose total events, I could choose total sessions. It is not going to show me that. It's always going to show me 100%. Now the reason for that is, like I said, because the user has to first exit the funnel for it to be counted in it, right? So it does not work in a way that, okay, how many product viewed fired, out of that how many product added fired, and then just divide the two. That's not how Mixpanel funnels work, right? So let's say I view 10 products, add one to cart, right? In that 1 hour, I'm counted, my conversion is counted. Then next hour, I again view, let's say 2 products and add one to cart, I'm counted again. So I have a 100% conversion. The third hour, I view 5 products, but I add nothing to cart, and 1 hour gets over. That's when I get counted in product viewed, but I don't get counted in product added to cart. Okay, so let's quickly take another example. So let's say I have multiple entries of the first event before they've exited the existing funnel. The first event would be counted only once and not twice, like I said, right? So I'm just reiterating it because this gets slightly complicated. And keep in mind that the conversion window starts on the first instance of the step 1 event per funnel entry, okay, and will not be updated by later instances of the same event in the funnel trial. For example, let's say you have an event following with the following criteria of going from A to B to C with a conversion window of 1 hour. Now if a user does A at 1 p.m. and then A again at 1:30 p.m. before they end up doing B at 1:45 p.m. and C at 2:15 p.m., they would count as converting to B, but they would not be counted as converting to the entire funnel of C. Why? Because they did A at 1 p.m. and that's when their 1 hour started, right? So it does not matter if they did A again at 1:30 p.m. or not. It does not matter, right? So the conversion window for a given funnel starts with the first instance of A, and then it is not reset unless the entire conversion window is over, and then it sort of starts again. Okay, now so this is what we are looking at, conversion rate. Now instead of conversion rate, you could also look at, let's say, now conversion rate you could look at in a unique user view, which is what we are looking at right now. You could also look at totals, and you could also look at sessions, right? So for example, let's say we are gonna shift it to totals. So right now we were looking at product view to product added at a user level. Now we are looking at it on a session level. Okay, so when you look at unique user conversion, you'll see the user will be only counted once, and the first time they enter the funnel. What's interesting to note here is that, let's say, even if they perform the events multiple times, they'd only be counted the first time they do it. So if a user does not convert the first time but does a second time, on a user level they'd be counted as not converted. And very interesting thing to note here for you guys is that the user does not re-enter the funnel in case of unique users conversion criteria. Okay, so a quick example here is that, let's say you have 2 users who did the following. So they viewed a product on day 1, they added to cart on day 1, and then they purchased a product on day 1. So they're counted as converted, right? User 2, they viewed a product on day 1, product viewed on day 2, add to cart on day 2, and product purchased on day 2. They are not converted, even though their conversion criteria of, let's say, if it was 1 day, would have been over on product viewed on day 1, and they have they would have re-entered the funnel on day 2, but that does not work in unique users. Okay, Now, product viewed for the third user, let's say product viewed on day one, add to cart on day one, product purchase on day one, converted, right? Now, if they come back, they view a product on day two, add to cart to day two, and all of that, they would not be counted as right. They'd only be converted once, right? Because Mixpanel only counts the first entry for the user, and if it's successful once, that's it. It does not count the user again. And if the first entry is not converted, the user is still not counted again. Okay. The next thing is totals. So when you choose totals, Mixpanel counts a conversion on an event level rather than a user level. And here, user can re-enter the funnel once they've exited the previous funnel. So for example, product viewed on day one, user one, views a product on day one, they add to cart on day one, and they purchase product on day one, they're converted, right? User two views product on day one, views product on day two, adds to cart on day two, and then product purchased funnel on day two. So then what happens is, let's say they product purchased, right? Then on day two they converted, right? What happens here is they did not convert on day one. That is why he was added to day two, right? Let's take a third user. So they view a product on day one, they add to cart on day one, they purchase the product on day one, they're converted, right? Now that user comes back on day two, adds to cart on day two, purchases on day two, they're going to be counted twice because the user can re-enter the funnel. Now a fourth user, they view a product on day one, they view another product on day one, they add to cart on day one, and they also purchase a product on day one, but they'd only be counted as once. And like I said, with 100% conversion, right? This was exactly similar to the example that I was talking about some time back. Okay. Now we move on to sessions. So now Mixpanel in Mixpanel, sessions is very similar to how events work, and here also the users counted again if they exit the funnel once. And think of sessions as a very dynamic time funnel, right? Because sessions could have multiple timings depending on how much the user uses the app, right? So today the user could use it for 10 minutes and his session time is 10 minutes. Tomorrow he could use it for an hour, right? So let's say user one viewed a product in session one, add to cart in session one, product purchased in session one, converted, right? User two views a product on session one, views a product in session two, add to cart on session two, and then product purchase on session two. They'd be converted, right, for session two. Now this happens because the user did not convert on in the first session, and that is why he was added to session two, right? Now let's take a look at user 3. So user 3, product viewed on session 1, add to cart on session 1, product purchased on session 1, converted. And then similarly, if he does it on the second session, they'll be converted twice. Now user 1, very similar to event, so converted, viewed a product in session 1, again viewed, and then add to cart, and then product purchased, all in same session. They'd only be counted once. Okay. Now we move on to funnel types. So there's the first one is a chart type funnel, right? Which is this what you're looking at. Okay. The next chart is basically a line chart, which gives you the same funnel but over time. So for example, you want to look at product view to product added over time. So you could be like, okay, show me this funnel for the last 30 days, and it's going to show you this, right? Okay. By default, line chart will show you conversion from the first step to the last step. So if you want to look at specific step conversions, you could do that too. So you could from here change, let's say I just want to look at, so right now we just have 2 steps, but let's say I'm going to add another one, which is purchase completed. And let's say in this funnel, I only want to look at the line of, let's say 1 to 2, like product view to product added, right? So that's what it's going to show you. Bar chart is basically helpful to just give you a summary view of the entire funnel from step 1 to last step or between specific steps. It's very similar to funnel steps. It's really useful when you're breaking down something and looking at some let's say something like frequency and time to convert, but we'll get into that in a bit. Okay. Now metric is again very similar. So if you just want to look at a simple conversion of step 1 to step 2 without any charts and all of that, you could just choose metric. Now, uh, in measurement and chart types, we also have unique users, total conversions, and total sessions. So while we were measuring conversion rate, right, we looked at within conversion rate, we were looking at percentage of users from previous step going to the next step, or let's say percentage of events or percentage of sessions, right? But when we change the measurement from conversion rate to one of, let's say, unique users, total conversions, or total sessions, we're looking at total number of users, events, and sessions instead of percentage, right? So um, for example, let's go to funnel steps, right? Right now, let's say we are conversion rate unique. This is what we initially had. Now we're just going to change it to unique users, right? It's the same chart, but now that you'll see is that the absolute number is on top and the percentage is below. When you use conversion rate, the percentage is on top, right? um, so unique users displays the number of users at each step. Similarly, when you choose total conversions, it's going to show you total conversion at an event level at each step of the funnel, and you're going to see something very similar with total sessions, right? What's interesting and new here is something called as time to convert. So now time to convert allows you to visualize the time it takes for users to move from one step to another in the funnel, and Mixpanel offers multiple measurements options for time to convert. So let's say we wanted to know how much time does it take from going from product view to product added, and we just want to look at, let's say, average, right? And so it'll show you, okay, average time to add a product is actually 28.3 minutes, right? Similarly, you could look at median, percentile, minimum, or maximum, right? And the way Mixpanel calculates it is, let's say, it'll calculate all the users that added a product to cart, and then calculate the average time it took them to do so. Okay, so again, let's say you want to look at by default, what Mixpanel will give you is a bar chart, right? But let's just say you actually don't want to look at a bar chart and you want to look at how this average actually changes over time. You could actually go and change it to a line chart, right? Wherein this is what you're going to see. Okay, now you could also look at distribution. So right now here, if you look at what you'll see is that the only option that you have is average, median, percentile, minimum, maximum. But let's say you actually want to look at distribution, right? Like what is the distribution of time it takes, and we'll change this to one session again. So what you can do is go to breakdown, go to computed, go to time to convert, and what it does is it's going to break down time to conversion for you. That will show you, okay, and instead of looking at average of here, what you'll probably want to do here is, let's say, just look at total sessions, right? And the idea here is that you want to essentially look at total sessions. So you have, like, let's say 5,600 sessions that took 0 to 2 hours to convert, and one session that took 2 to 4 hours to convert. And obviously you can, keep changing this. So you could be like, okay, I just want it to be in minutes, and I want it 10 minutes, and I want the size to be 2, and you apply it, and you're going to see it in 2-minute intervals, right? Where you'll see, okay, majority of users took more than 10 minutes to actually add a product after viewing one. Okay, the next interesting thing here is property sum. So property sum helps you visualize how the sum of a numeric value changes with each step of the funnel, right? So for example, you want to know from checkout started to, let's say, purchase completed, how much revenue have you lost, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to property sum, and I'm going to choose subtotal. And now instead of giving me users or anything, it's going to show me, oh, okay, over the last 30 days, within one session, I had 3.4 million of revenue that people started their checkout with, but actual converted for me was only 0.58%, which is 19.8K, right? And this is helpful when you want to look at something other than users or events, right? And you want to look at usually helpful with revenue or margins there, that how much are you losing over time. Now Filters in funnel work the same way as you spoke out the inside section. The only thing that you need to take care of here is local filters versus global filters. So and this is important. So let's say you have a funnel from checkout started to purchase completed, and you apply a local filter on shipping method is equal to express shipping, and let's say you're counting things on a user level. And let's say there is this user who has checkout started from both methods, express and normal shipping. So when you apply a local filter, the filter is first applied to an event, and then the eligible values are taken. So in the above example, what will happen is the filter will be applied, and then the instance of the user with the shipping method is equal to express will be chosen as the entering step in the funnel. However, when you apply it as a global filter to any funnel, the funnel is first calculated and then the filter is applied. So in the above example, let's say the user's first shipping method, right, in the first checkout that appeared for that user in that time frame of, let's say, last 30 days was normal shipping, and the second one was express shipping. Now, since the funnel is first calculated, the event chosen for checkout started will actually be normal shipping and not express shipping. And so then when you apply this filter, you would actually see nothing, like this user wouldn't be in the funnel because that instance has just not been counted. Now, breakdowns are helpful while trying to understand conversion value across different property values or attributes. So for example, you want to understand how the checkout started to purchase completed conversion differs across different slabs of amount. You can break down the funnel by subtotal, right? So we'll go here, we'll break it down by subtotal, right? And within breakdown, so if you remember, if you break down a property, say shipping method, and the users present in express shipping as well as normal shipping, they'd show up as two separate conversions. This is different from how global filters would work, where you'd see it only once. Okay, interesting thing here. So when you break down, you could also define as at what step do you want to break it down, right? So we are saying, okay, the subtotal property, do you want to break it down at step 1, step 2, or step 2, right? Or the first step wherever the property was defined, or the last step whenever it was defined. So you could choose any of that, right? This is usually useful when you have a more detailed funnel and you want to choose, okay, I want to break down by this property at step 3 of the funnel, right? In our case, we are going to break it down at step 1 because we wanted to look at conversion rate by amount, right? If we segment at step 2, we'll see a lot of values as not set. Reason being because they did not qualify for step 2, so we don't know what the subtotal value was at step 2, right? That's why you'd probably see 0 there. Apart from specifically choosing a step, you could also choose from last step defined and first step defined. So last step defined is whenever the property is found last with whichever step, that would be the value taken. For example, take view product, add product, and product purchase. Now all 3 of those events would have category as a property. However, for a user in the category in A is product added event and B is product purchase event. In the last step defined, when broken down, it will be attributed to B. For users that did not qualify, their property would be defined as checkout started. Okay. When you talk about first step defined, so whenever the property is found first with whichever step, that would be the value taken for the entire funnel. So when broken down, it would be attributed to, say, A. Right. Top paths are usually available for any order funnels. They help you see the most common paths users take to move through the funnel, right? So for example, in a funnel from sign up completed to purchase completed, the first and last steps, users may take different actions in between, such as viewing a product, adding a product, or searching. So top paths will actually show you that, right? So let's say we are here and we're going to do sign up completed, right? And let's just say product viewed, and we'll take it here. We'll change this to any order, and from here we'll go to top paths. And so what this, let me also show you product added. Okay. So this will just give you like what paths did the user follow going from sign up completed to purchase completed.